Hello and welcome to this week's live with myself, Dr. Stem. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. So today I wanted to talk about the 9 lessons from the eagle. And I'll tell you what drove me to think about, sharing that with you today and researching it as well, to make sure that I write down what the ego is teaching us and discussing that with you. So here's what happened. About 20 years ago, I was right here in the, Orlando, Florida area, and I was attending a church. And we were praying in church at that time. There's a lady that just came and tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, my sister, the Lord has told me to share a verse with you. And that verse was Isaiah 40, verse 31. And I'll read from the King James Version. It says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." And she said, the Lord said, wait, wait, wait. And then she walked away. I remember looking and just so confused about what was that all about. But what stuck with me was they shall renew their strength and they shall mount up with their wings as eagles. And the eagle was always something that I kept remembering about that moment or that encounter with that lady. So I had never researched what the lessons are from the eagle until now. I'm doing these lives and I'm, thinking, what can I share this week? And all of a sudden, I thought about that message and I thought, how interesting would it be for us to go over the lessons, that the eagle teaches us. So here's the first one. The first lesson is have a strong vision. Eagles can spot their prey up to 5 kilometers away. What is that in meters? When I read about that, right, I said, what is that in meters? Because I'm in America, so we don't do kilometers. But anyway, from way above, to me, it means from way above there, because I could just envision an eagle, right? So their eyesight is way better than all the other birds. So they will be all the way up there, and then they can narrow that eyesight and just put it right on the target of what they want. So when they come down, you know that they're going to be like, whoop, swoosh, and they get their prey and fly away. So to me, it just meant that in our lives, we have to have a vision, a clear vision. It's one thing to have a vision. It's another thing to have a dream and want to do things, right? But if you don't have a clear vision of where you want, you can imagine if that ego didn't have clear vision of what it wants and where the prey is, so that it can hone in and go on there and grab the prey so that it can fly away. That's the same thing with us. If we don't have a vision, we are all over the place. We are lost. We don't have the energy to follow through with anything. We don't even want to, get out of our comfort zone, because then, you know what, I know I would want to do something. I know that, there's better things that I can do, a better place that I can work, a better place I can live, better information that I can retain and learn. But we don't have that. If we don't have that vision, it's difficult to follow through with those, kind of ideas. And it also makes it difficult to overcome obstacles when we don't have a vision. And I'll tell you why. Because what happens is when you have a vision and you're going somewhere, and troubles arise, obstacles get in the way, it is much easier to say, you know what, I can't stay and get stuck in this problem or these obstacles, because I'm going somewhere and I know that I do have a vision that is, leading me somewhere. So what you do is it's easier to let go. It's easier to forgive. It's easier to move, forward. The second thing is rising above problems. Eagles become excited during storms and rain. They spread their giant wings and allow the storm to lift them above the cloud. And when other birds hide in the branches of trees, the eagle is flying above clouds whilst the storm is raging and it's angry and it's soaring. The eagle is soaring right above that storm. What is the lesson in that for us? It inspires us to really have the courage, the determination to be resilient despite our circumstances, or no matter what the circumstances that we find ourselves in. I was reading a post on Instagram this week, and there was, and I think I did the reel and reshared the reel, and this gentleman was talking about, money mindset and how, poor people think and how rich people think and how we have to change our mindset. I'm always intrigued at the, comments that people put, right? When I was reading those comments, and a lot of people were talking about, well, you don't understand, people's circumstances, because my circumstances do not even allow me to think outside the box like that. It doesn't even allow me to get out of the way that I think and the way that I've seen the people around me. I mean, they were going on and on and on. And to me, that was that indication of people that unfortunately are stuck in the rut of the values, beliefs, and also looking at circumstances of where they are without thinking of what else can I see outside these circumstances? How else can I see myself outside of these circumstances? So just like the eagle would fly way above, sometimes we have to really, go beyond the means that we have in order to find, ways to get out of that storm or to get, away from the limiting mindset that we might have. Finding opportunities in problems. So with the eagle, as I mentioned, in the second one, it loves the storm. So of course, it's a significant bird that is one unique bird that can survive and be joyful, in the midst of storms, whilst the other birds are hiding. But it always finds an opportunity to fly above the storm. So sometimes we might get frustrated with our problems, and then what we do, we try to avoid them. We blame God, we blame other people, we blame circumstances, but we forget that difficulties always come before growth. Difficulties always affect all of us, everybody. I was talking to some people this week and I said, no one is immune, or will be left out of struggles in life. Everyone has a story and everyone will struggle in life. But what's important is how we deal with those struggles and how we interpret the story after the struggles or during the struggles. The fourth lesson is moving with speed. Eagles can fly at a speed that is so high that they're often known as the fastest flying bird in the skies. So here's the lesson that the eagles, are showing us, that they're not lazy. In order to be the fastest, that means that they practice. And, of course, they were born with the talent and the task to fly. We also have talents within us, and we have the capacity to be able to have that speed, to have, a way to learn things in order, to do things, or to find people that can help us do those things that we can't do. So, that's one thing that I've learned. I can't do everything, neither do I know everything. I have a sister of mine, that I love talking about every time, my youngest sister. She's no longer a baby because she's a grandmother now, Nikki. And Nikki is the one that, puts me in check all the time, right? I'm talking about something and then I say, I don't know. I don't have an answer. And she's quick to say, and you're a doctor? Like I'm supposed to know everything, right? So, I mean, it's almost like second nature. And you're a doctor? Like, babe, listen, I did psychology And even in psychology, I don't know it all. Neither would I have retained everything that I was taught. So, of course, I don't know it all. I don't have all the answers. I'm also looking and learning all the time. So that's another thing that we have to be open to if we are going to move with speed, if we're going to change, the way that we are thinking, if we are going to find opportunities in our lives, just like the eagle flies above the storms. If we are going to fly above our own storms, then we have to change the way that we think. We have to change the expectations that we have of ourselves. And there's so much that we learned from the time that we were young, from, the communities that we grew up in, the people that influenced us. Some of it still works and some of it might need changing or tweaking or even throwing it all out with a whole bucket of water. Number 5, getting out of your comfort zone. So when it is time for the eaglets to fly, the mother eagle throws them out of the nest. Did you hear me? Throws them out of the nest. This one got me because years ago I was working with parents and teenagers. And I remember back in Zimbabwe, where I'm from Zimbabwe. So back in Zimbabwe at 21, that's when they had a big party. They give you a key, and that key signifies that, okay, you can now go out and say, I found a man or a woman that I want to get married to, and I want to start a family, and I want to move out of, the birth home and have my own place. It was, subtle freedom that you were given to say, now we might be okay. We might be okay with you going. So then I come to America, excuse me. And in America, they say at 18, there's the door. You're old enough. You are now mature. You start talking back to me. You want to do what you want, and I'm the one providing you with food. No, we're not going to have 2 kings or 2 queens in this house. At 18, bye-bye, go. And I was at first thinking, how could you do that? But then now I understood when I was working now with parents and teenagers, I totally understood it, because then, as the eagle does, the eagle kicks its young ones, so that, because if they were going to wait, if the eagle was going to wait for them to be strong enough and go out and really be responsible whilst it's still continuing to feed, and the eagle is the one that's going out and getting the food and bringing it, and they get full food, bills are paid for, clothes are paid for, everything is paid for. I can now understand the logic behind that, because then they would never be self-sufficient and be strong enough to go out there and do it themselves. So many a time, I think it's difficult even for adults, as adults, to have that kind of, comfort, to be able to allow other people to be self-sufficient. We are people pleasers. We want to help everybody, whether it's even, spouses, and everyone is always putting out fires, and you're having a spouse that just sits at home and does nothing, or is continuing to look for work, or you have children that are now adults, 20s and 30s, and they keep saying, well, I'm looking for work, but I can't find any work. And when you turn around, they're going out, they're buying things, and you're like, where are you getting all this money? How come you can only work and be able to, support yourself, but you don't help me with the bills? That's that one where I understand why the eagles would do that. But it helps us, the lesson is for us to just understand the importance of living out of your comfort zone, to not stay stagnant, to be able to get out of your own comfort zone and have the courage to do so, but also have the courage to encourage other people that are, within you, that in your surroundings, that may be, might need some push from you, or just, that oomph of just seeing you do it and then they do it. Whatever your circumstances, getting out of your comfort zone is an example that the eagle teaches us. Number 6, leave the past in the moment. So eagles feed on live food. Remember how I was talking about they come down and pick the prey and then, they fly out. They don't eat dead animals. And I just found that out, so they can't eat anything that is already dead. So the eagle has a big lesson for us here, that dead things, right? They don't eat the dead, which means for us, dead things are in the past. The things that happened for us or that we did or that happened to us in the past, they're dead. And they cannot help us move forward or live a fruitful, productive life in the current if there are things that are of regret or things that are painful or things that no longer serve us today. And because I am a mental health professional, that part I have to tell you, it's not something that I'm just saying, oh, just throw it out and just forget about what happened and you can move on and just be jolly holly and feel fine. No, there's a need for, if there's a need for support, I truly encourage you to seek support so that you can work with a mental health professional or a coach that can help you deal with the past, so that dead information that you're continuing to carry that is still controlling your current life right now, that is still painful, that is still making you angry, or you see someone and just the look of them, it's like it brings everything flooding and you cannot forgive them and you cannot forget them, then maybe it's time to just go with someone and work through that, because it's important. If you're going to learn the lesson of living your best life from the ego, it's going to be important to not have the dead things or dead moments in your life or dead, situations that happened in your life continue to rule your current life. So, take the moment to just reassess your life and see where you might need, maybe to process it even deeper, sometimes if that's not going to happen by yourself. Number 7, the ego teaches us to fly high. It's one of those birds that really flies really high, as I said, because it flies above storms. So it flies at a very high altitude, when it does. So the lessons that, is there for us in that one is we should focus also on flying high altitudes. There's no one that is different from us that has done something that we can't do. So if there's something that you've been looking at and you say, I wish I could do that, well, you can. If it's something that you want to do, that person, here's my crazy thinking, right? I was, when I was building myself in my career, I am doing things that I do now, right? I would look at other people and I say to myself, you know what? If this person was born of man and woman, just like I was, and they were carried 9 months or maybe even premature, some even premature, born premature, and they can do whatever they're doing, that means I have within me the capacity to do that and even better. And if I can't do it, I also have the capacity to hire people or to collaborate with people and work with people that can do what I can't do or better. You see, so there's always a way. And that's why they say, where there's a will, there's a way. So if we're going to fly high, we have to have that kind of mindset that just says, you know what? If it's possible for men, then it's possible for me as well. Men in the plural sense of, men and woman, but a human being, then that means it's possible for me and you as well. So you have to have that mentality as a lesson from the ego. 2 more to go. Promise you. The number 8 one is being courageous. Eagles attack their prey, no matter how big or daunting that it may be. They don't care if it's big or not. They are looking for food. They want to eat. So they're going to come down and really hold on to making sure that they grab that food. So the thing about it too is when they're preying on that food, on let's say on a bird or something, the bird is just like not even seeing or looking. So of course its defenses are low and it's not looking at, oh, it's going to come. So the ego has an advantage from that point that it's up above, above high and looking down, on their prey. But here's the other thing. If they fail to grab it, they whoops, come down, whoop, and then they miss and they don't get it, they don't stop. they circle around again. They just, look at it from another angle. So if they came through the, above and want to grab it from the head and they missed it, or trust me, they're going to come from the side or the other side until they grab their food. So guess what? They never give up. And that's a lesson that I'm, learning from the ego, that not giving up is not an option. Try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. But the caption is, if you try something that is not working and now it's frustrating you, it's zapping your energy, oh, please change it. Then you try again with something else that might work. So when I was learning that try again when I was young, I thought, okay, you've got to continue trying until you exhaust yourself, you exhaust all resources. And then I realized that no, if I try again and it's not working and it's not something that is really, giving me a return on my investment, then I'm going to change it. And then put that effort again and trying again on something else. So I guess with the ego, if it tries and, the prey is running away or, flipping and it's making it difficult, I mean, there's another one, a few feet away, just fly a little bit further and then you get another prey and whoops, you get your food. All right, number 9, the last one. I'm getting excited about these lessons. Embrace the pain. Embracing the pain. When egos reach the age of 40 years, they are weak, they're old. So survival becomes difficult. So to regain strength, they have to go through a painful process of rebirth. For that, they retire to a lonely place where they pluck out every feather on their body until they are completely bare and knock their beak against a rock so that the new one develops. It just sounds so painful. So this rebirth extends their life for more than 30 years. See, that's the part that got me right there. That's the part that got me. The rebirth is so painful. Even, when I was reading it to you right now, you can hear it. It's so painful. You're beating yourself up and you're plucking out every further. Oh, just sounds so painful. But then the extension of 30 more years, that is exciting. So to me, that lesson is all about also careers, changing your life and, starting over again, but being excited about the life, the quality of life that you will have after that rebirth. Because then, once you learn something, your life is never the same again. You will not be experiencing the same experiences the same way again, right? So I always say, when you learn and you know better, you do better. And when I know something and I can do it better, there's no reason for me to regress and, think of something in the same way that I used to in the old and do the same thing that I used to do, the old way. So this is the one thing that I'm learning about, this part of embracing the pain. Every success that you're going to achieve in life, there will be some pain somewhere. I have a lady that is going through her master's right now, Miss Yvette. She's on my website. She gave a testimonial on my website. And she was saying to me the other day, she's like, Dr. Sam, you have no idea. I cannot wait for June 2024. This thing here is painful. There's so much work in the master's program, so many projects, and then you still have a life at home. You still have to work. And guess what? I reminded her of the reason why when she worked with me, she was so eager and interested to know how she could do what I do, how she could be able to help other people transform their lives as a counselor and a coach. And I say to her, the first step is to pursue your education and further your education and become, in order for her to be licensed, because she wants to be a licensed, mental health professional, then you'd have to go through the process of, earning your master's degree and then getting your licensure. So I responded to her and I said, do you remember the reason why you started this master's degree? You want to do the same work that I'm doing. You want to enjoy the freedom of being able to help other people transform their lives. You want to enjoy seeing the results of, helping other people, really get into their realm and live their passion and their purpose. And you say, wow, that's the work that we did together, remember? And she says, you're right. I said, so envision yourself doing that. Envision yourself already looking at other people that you have worked with and seeing them thrive and live their life and really also impact other people's lives because of your dedication and determination that you did during this master's degree in order for you to be licensed. Moreover, there are many that have gone through the path, and it wasn't easy for all of us. But the joy of having to serve afterwards, I mean, it's unsurpassed. So that's the thing about embracing the pain. It will be painful through the journey. It will be painful through the learning. And you know what? What's exciting is at the end of the road when you get to enjoy the freedom of sharing what you have learned and also seeing other people flapping their wings and flying like eagles. Once again, this was about the 9 lessons learned from the eagle, inspired by the Bible verse, Isaiah 40, verse 31, that was shared, with me over 20 years ago, that is continuing to be the guide of how I get to let my light shine. So once again, it says, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Until next time, this is Dr. Stem. Be encouraged.